My name is Rob Restuccia. I'm the Executive Director of Community Catalyst. On behalf of Community Catalyst and our Massachusetts-based partner, Healthcare for All, we would like to welcome all our friends from Maine here today. Maine Representative Bruce Poliquin is in this building behind us, meeting with a bunch of business leaders. Yet, he refuses to meet with his constituency.
All right.
He is the only member of New England delegation to vote for the dreaded American Health Care Act.
It ain't right.
This is, number one, the worst piece of legislation ever to pass one branch of Congress. And two, it is the most unpopular legislation in healthcare history. So why is a national organization like Community Catalyst and a Massachusetts organization like Healthcare for All inviting our friends from Maine to come here? Because Representative Poliquin's vote was critical. It only passed by 3 votes, and he was one of the votes that made it pass.
And we'll remember in November.
And it affects people in Maine, but it affects people in Massachusetts. It affects people across the country. CBO talked about 24 million people losing their health insurance as a result of this legislation.
Whoa! People are gonna die.
So now it's in the Senate, and they're struggling to get it through. They're trying to keep it as quiet as possible. They haven't shown it even to Republican senators. They're talking about putting it on the floor next week. And Maine becomes an important place again because of Senator Collins in Maine. She has not said she would fully oppose this legislation. So one, if you're in Massachusetts and you know you have friends or family in Maine, tell them to call Senator Collins. This bill is critical for the health of all people in the country. And it's my pleasure to introduce Sam Portera from Maine, a constituent of Representative Poliquin.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Massachusetts knows how to throw a party, huh?
Yeah.
My name is Sam Portera, and I am a constituent of Congressman Bruce Poliquin. Got up at 2 a.m. this morning because that's how long it takes for me to see my congressman. Congressman, after months of searching, I'm glad we finally found you. Because we looked hard. We looked in Lewiston, where single moms are worried about the cuts you supported for Medicaid. We looked in Caribou, where a rural hospital is at risk of shutting down without the Affordable Care Act. We looked in Machias, where seasonal fishermen are at risk of losing their health care. We looked in Skowhegan, where disabled veterans are at risk of losing life-saving medicine. We looked in Farmington, where college students under 26 are at risk of losing health care. We looked in Bar Harbor, where small business owners know that your support for dismantling the marketplace could cost them their health insurance. We looked in Rumford, where the opioid epidemic is taking hold of our rural communities. We looked in Waldo County, where city councilors are struggling with the potential loss of jobs that would come from AHCA repeal. And we looked in Dover-Foxcroft, where businesses paying out of pocket for insurance are worried about health insurance costs skyrocketing if the AHCA eliminates the overhead cap on premiums. But we should have known where to find you all along. There's only one constituency that truly concerns you. That's the constituency that puts millions of dollars worth of ill-gotten gains into your campaign coffers.
It ain't right.
I got up at 2 a.m. this morning to be here, and that's how hard it is to find my congressman. And it is truly disgraceful. Mainers surely deserve better representation than this. Next, I'd like to introduce Jim Lyson from Lewiston, Maine. Thank you.
Go, Jim.
Yes.
I am a constituent of this weasel. Excuse me. Every year in Maine, thousands of people lose loved ones to the addiction crisis that is gripping our state, and I'm very lucky that I was not one of them. My wonderful daughter, Jen, is my whole world. She's witty, funny, and passionate and talented, and she makes everyone around her feel better about themselves. She's an organizer. Her mother and I have been proud to call her our daughter every day for the last 30 years. But Jen went through a tough time in her life, struggling with things that I couldn't protect her from, try though I might. She started drinking too much, and it soon turned into a problem. Today, my daughter is a sober alcoholic, and it was only possible because she had access to health care insurance to receive treatment. I'm still very proud of her, and I thank heaven every day that she's still in my life. Yesterday she caddied for me playing golf, and she couldn't play because of a back injury, but boy, it was fun. This is one of the thousands of stories across Maine that Bruce Poliquin could hear, one of the thousands of reasons to protect health care if only Bruce Poliquin cared enough to know. Now, I'm a city councilor in Lewiston. I'm a volunteer with the Maine People's Alliance because I'm retired and I'm an active person in this struggle on the opioid addiction. I was also in healthcare for 12 years. I know what preventative care and access to family physicians can do to help people with both addictions as well as issues of mental health. And thank God we have them. Eliminating 23 million people from the AHCA is sentencing people to death. Thank you.
We deserve better. 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 Thanks, everybody. Next, I'd like to introduce Tim Conmey from Orrington, Maine.
Hi, my name is Tim Conmey. I'm a nurse from Bangor, Maine, and one of Bruce Poliquin's constituents. I'm a nurse because I care deeply about people, which can also make my job emotionally difficult. And that's why I'm here too. Because Representative Poliquin voted to take health care away from tens of thousands of constituents, but rather than justifying it to his constituents in Maine, he's here in Boston, raising more money from big business so that next year he'll be able to run millions more dollars in TV ads to lie to us about how he's standing up for us. For months now, we in Maine have been asking, where's Bruce? Well, we just found him. Every day at the hospital I work in, I see the tough choices people have to make to ensure that they are able to afford medical care. People are forced to make sacrifices in order to secure care, either for themselves or for their loved ones and family members. This should never happen. People shouldn't have to decide whether or not they can afford to have necessary treatments. The Affordable Care Act is something that is in place to help those people. Those who depend on the many different hospitals we have in rural Maine will be deeply hurt by the actions of the House and Senate and their attempts to repeal and change the Affordable Care Act. I urge Representative Poliquin to think of me and all the people he represents back home when he makes his decision on whether or not to support the repeal. Bruce Poliquin would know that these bills have the potential to hurt Mainers if he would take the time to meet with us at home in his district, instead of big business groups way down here in Boston. We deserve a representative that represents us, not big businesses. Yeah.
And next, I'd like to introduce Melissa Stevens from Lewiston, Maine.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Melissa, and I am a constituent of Representative Bruce Poliquin. I am also someone who benefits greatly from the Affordable Care Act, which has come under attack by GOP leadership in the House and Senate in the recent weeks. I am a recipient of Maine Care. Congressman Poliquin voted on behalf of Wall Street executives who fund his campaigns to make significant cuts to Medicaid, endangering the health care of single moms and the disabled and children. I shouldn't have to impart on you the importance of having health insurance. We all know emergencies happen. Medical care is expensive, and that poorly timed sickness or injury can be financially devastating without some sort of safety net in place. My safety net is Maine Care. I'm also a mother. So not only do I have to worry about my own personal health, but also the health of my entire family. And there are plenty of people in situations just like mine, whether they be those with families or people who are caregivers to their parents or loved ones. The attacks on the Affordable Health Care Act are threatening the many Mainers who are like me. Cuts that would hurt all of us who depend on these services, making us ineligible for Maine Care. I'm here in Boston today because for some reason, Poliquin is here instead of doing his job and fighting for the people he represents in Maine. I shouldn't have to travel 130 miles to remind my representative that he represents me. You should be ashamed of yourself. We will remember in November. Thank you.
We will remember in November. 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 We will remember in November.
And next, first I'd like to thank everybody who turned out here in Massachusetts, and we're sorry. Might be a good place to start. Maybe that's where we should have started everything. But next we'd like to introduce Lars, who's a student in Lewiston, Maine. Here he comes. Lars.
President? Okay. All right, thank you, everybody. Hi there, my name's Lars, and I'm a constituent of Bruce Poliquin. I'm one of the thousands of students across Maine who will lose health insurance if the AHCA is repealed. The protection that allows young adults to stay on their parents' insurance makes it possible for many young people with chronic medical conditions to stay in college. What Congressman Poliquin forgets is that not every kid has parents who can just buy everything for their kids. A congressman who has frequently lectured poor kids about, quote, pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, has just taken a pair of scissors and cut those straps off, forcing thousands of Maine kids to fall right back down. Congressman Poliquin would, of course, know this if he spent a little more time in the 2nd District. Instead, Congressman Poliquin spent his life on Wall Street. Then he moved to the 2nd Congressional District specifically so he could run for Congress and represent the interests of Wall Street in D.C. Congressman Poliquin is unfit to serve as our congressman. Thank you.
So, we just heard that Congressman Poliquin, as though this wasn't enough, is now in a closed-door meeting with special business interest. So we would love it for anyone who's able to stick around just a little bit so that Congressman Poliquin can see how many people turned out. But first, I'd like to ask, can we get a big round of applause for everybody who drove over an hour from Maine? And can all the Mainers raise their hands and wave? Thank you, everybody, so much for being here, and let's all watch for Bruce.
Yay!